Right, you're good to go.
I am. Well, there I am. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the New Ulm Airport Commission to order right now. My name is Rosemary Geer, and I'm vice chair. Could I also have the others of you give your name?
Wayne Clausen.
Brad Lipke.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we do have a quorum today. We'd like to look over the minutes from our last meeting, the meeting from April 9th. Are there any questions about that? Any additions?
No, it looks good. Are you looking for a motion to accept?
Yeah,
So
if
I'll-
you're, yeah,
So moved.
okay,
Second?
okay, so.
Yep.
Um,
Yep, and then just all in favor.
What was that?
Then just all in favor.
All in
sig-
favor,
Yep.
could you please say aye?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? No one? Okay, we've accepted those minutes. No other old business that I see here, so we do have new business concerning our CTAF frequency. We do have someone here from North Star Aviation, and he's going to present a proposal to switch us to a dedicated frequency. Now, I'm not sure, didn't this happen a couple of years ago already? Was there something in 2022 where yeah? Okay, well, I'm sure you're going to give us a lot of enlightenment on that, so go right ahead.
Awesome. So my name is Chris Ploshik. I am the Senior Chief Flight Instructor of North Star Aviation over in Mankato. And North Star also operates the FBO here in New Ulm and in Mankato too, the full service FBO there. You're correct. We did go through this process a couple of years ago to switch the frequency over to 123.0, which is where it currently is. At that time, I was involved, but it was more headed up by another person in our company, and kind of things have changed since then, and that's kind of why I'm back here and would like to go and talk about a completely dedicated frequency if we're able to go and get one. So really the main goal behind it here is to go and improve the safety of operations here in multiple airports in southern Minnesota. I'm also speaking at several other airports here in the next month. There are a very high amount of operations that end up happening that aren't just necessarily a Mankato thing, and it's not just necessarily a New Ulm thing, but across shared frequencies, this is a safety concern that isn't just had by us. However, I do have data from our side. North Star has a very robust safety management system program. And through that, we gather safety reports from all over. We have our little cards dispersed at various airports around here so that people, even from outside of our organization, can submit safety reports if they need to. Through these, in the last year, this is report data from April 30th to April 30th of this year. New Ulm itself, we've received 35 specific safety reports just about this airport, and a lot of those do pertain to congestion on the radio, which then leads into different like loss of separation issues or loss of situational awareness if you're kind of getting confused or having trouble getting a radio call in edgewise because there's so many other people talking on the frequency. As you can see here, Owatonna, Waseca, and Faribault are the other airports that I'll be addressing, and we're having similar issues around those. However, they operate on separate frequencies from what New Ulm is on. Like I said, this wasn't just a North Star thing. This is something that's being noticed on a wider scale. I am also a Minnesota FAA safety team representative, along with a couple others in our organization. And earlier, we had a meeting earlier in the spring, and several other FAST team representatives around the cities went and brought up this concern as hangar doors started opening again. And you know, it happened a little earlier this year than most years because of the good weather and the mild winter. But as those hangar doors started opening again, traffic started increasing again, this concern got brought up as so many airports with shared frequencies. One in particular that brought this to light and really wanted to get the conversation going was a representative who is based out of Fleming Field in St. Paul, just on the south side of 94 there. There's also a website, AOPA has an article on changing Unicom frequencies, and they call this out as a severe safety issue in some situations. While looking into this, I've learned a lot of different things about frequencies and everything there and where they come from. And you think the majority of airports have the CTAF frequency at 122.8, and that's where New Ulm was, I believe. And that was because just about all the frequencies of airports early on were dedicated to 122.8 or 122.7 until the AOPA went and lobbied to go and open up 7 more Unicom frequencies. Here are the frequencies in the area. So New Ulm specifically is currently on 123.0. Which we changed a couple years ago. We went and looked at every airport within 150 nautical miles of the Waseca area. We thought that was a kind of a good middle ground here. And there are 11 airports within that range that share 123.0. Of them are Albert Lea and Redwood Falls. Albert Lea also operates a flight school, and Redwood Falls has a good amount of traffic that operates out of there yearly also. And because of their close proximity, you most days have bleed over of frequencies of traffic on the radios. North Star itself, out of the last year, the last 12 months, we average about 35 operations a day in New Ulm. But looking at some SkyVector data, trying to go and gather a more well-rounded picture of this, they had data from 2017 and 2018, and they were showing about 43 operations a day. So trying to kind of quantify this and figure out what the congestion is on the radios, I looked at these to give you the numbers here on the estimated daily radio calls in New Ulm at being about 226 radio calls. This is based off of about 5 radio calls being kind of the standard for an IFR flight that would be coming in, and approximately 6 radio calls for a VFR person that departed, did a lap in the pattern, and then landed again. So I went and multiplied that by 5 1/4 just to kind of find a way in the middle, and came up with that 226 radio calls per day on 123.0 just in New Ulm. But then also, like I mentioned, 11 airports in the area within 150 miles share this frequency, and that's where I looked at just 2 other airports, at Redwood Falls and at Albert Lea, and when you add in their operations and approximate radio calls, you come up with about 600 radio calls per day that end up bleeding over. And that's only 2 of the 11 airports there that share that frequency, right? So ultimately, this can be much more, and plays into the picture of sometimes it's hard to get a word in edgewise and state your intentions or what you're doing, which degrades safety. The numbers for the other airports probably don't really pertain to you. So what we're looking at doing is we would like to propose changing this and pursuing a dedicated frequency for the New Ulm Airport. And the first step of that, from our perspective, is to get the approval of the Airport Commission. Get your guys' approval and kind of support that way, and then we can continue moving forward with steps after that. To do this, we do need to apply for use of the frequency from the FCC. That application, once that's approved, that takes between 30 and 60 days for processing. Once that's approved, then the airport manager has to submit a couple forms to the FAA, and then the FAA will go and process the change on all of the charts, and that takes the normal chart cycle. So total time length on here, I would estimate 6 to 8 months to go and get this all changed over, to be recharted and everything like that. And then we go into, mitigating our risks, right? So we've kind of looked at this. So like I said, we have a safety management system at North Star, so we kind of ran it through our risk assessment there. And really the one risk that we came up with out of this was going to be pilots unaware of the change, which this is something that New Ulm already went through a couple years ago, and minimal impact. We really didn't have the issues that might have been forecasted at some others, at least not that I noticed out of it. But in order to mitigate this risk here, just like last time, we could go and publish a NOTAM. That NOTAM could be published in advance of this change on you know, any kind of time period. That would be in advance of the change, which would give that awareness to different people coming in previous, and then that can remain active after the change just to keep supporting this. There's also ways to pre-record AWAS messages on the weather so that, you know, say a pilot misses the NOTAM, anyone coming into the area flying in, we could have a pre-recorded AWAS message that would, you know, kind of greet the pilot as they come in from the air, you know, making them aware of the change, so that they could go and get on that, which was something that we implemented at our sister flight school over in Ohio. Additionally, through the FAST team, we could explore ways with the Minneapolis FSDO, the FAST team managers in the area. We could explore options to go and get an announcement pushed out through the Wing software, which could be an email. Maybe we go as far as hosting a Wing seminar on that, which is definitely something that we could put together depending on what everybody thinks is necessary.
One thing I do want to note, Madam Vice Chair and Commission members, is that during the last transition, North Star actually took it upon themselves and posted signs on every hangar door out at the airport. So our local pilots who might not check the NOTAMs were aware of that when they went into their facility. So I would think that would be another step we could take as well to help our local tenants.
And it was on AWAS also.
I have a question. When you say that would be a dedicated frequency, and currently there's, within 150 miles, there's 11 that use that same Unicom. When you say dedicated, how big of a range before that frequency would be used again somewhere else?
There are several airports. That we gathered all of the frequencies within 150 miles. The AOPA recommends not sharing a frequency with another airport within 50 miles. However, we've experienced that there's bleed over even farther than that. I have been exploring different frequency options and also kind of looked into ways to get maybe frequencies that aren't standard approved Unicom frequencies by the FCC. There might be ways to go and get other ones available. So I haven't really set on any proposed frequency to go and use, but what I was kind of thinking, the first one here would be the closest airport that might share it would be Red Wing, which is about 90 miles from New Ulm. And then that frequency is only shared by Red Wing and Aiken, which is 140 miles from New Ulm here. So bleed over should be pretty minimal.
So we'd get about a 100-mile unique number.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
At the time that we got our last frequency, was that considered a dedicated frequency to us?
I am not sure. Our safety manager at the time really spearheaded this project, and I was very minimally involved.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Are there any other questions here? No. Do you have more to say? I'm sorry.
No, that's it.
Okay.
Madam Vice Chair and Commission members, Commissioner Wald was unable to be here today. He's actually probably flying right now. So he did provide an email, which I'll read into the record for your information, with his thoughts on this change. He starts off by saying we should have done this when we changed it the last time and went to a dedicated frequency in hindsight. Let's see. He has not had issues with communication in and out of ULM due to overlap, but he could see it as a potential overwhelming situation for training pilots. He would not oppose a change. The changeovers come with months of communication challenges with rule flying because pilots know the field and do not verify their frequencies. I put that in quotation marks, same as he did in his email. He's had a couple instances with the last changeover where pilots were broadcasting on the wrong frequency coming into New Ulm, and he had to break off an approach because they did not hear or see him. He did note if we do change, he would like assurance that this would be the final change for some time, which sounds like it would be. He doesn't like the safety aspect of regularly changing the frequency. So he would like that noted, that if we do this, he would like it hopefully, and it sounds that would be the case if our closest airport's 90 miles away, that we should be in good shape for the foreseeable future. So just the thoughts from Mr. Wald on that topic.
Just out of curiosity, do you have any knowledge of what they did or how they determined the change that they did last time? I mean, I'm assuming they didn't do an analysis like this or we wouldn't be here again. Did they just pick a less congested Unicom frequency or?
Yeah, Madam Vice Chair and Commission members, I can speak to that. I believe that was the case. They just picked one that was less congested than what the 1228 was at the time. Just kind of slid down the dial, and with Redwood Falls being close, I think that was kind of the.
And this is a little different process by saying it's dedicated. That's is it the same FAA approval or is it a little different process since it's called something different?
It's about the same process here, and it's first with the FCC and then with the FAA afterwards to get the approval of the FCC to use the frequency. But there are channels separated for aviation, and part of it is getting the approval to use one that's not used in the area. So it's a similar process to what was taken last time. I want to also make sure that this is the last time for a while, right, that this ends up happening. And that's the whole point here, is to increase the safety around everybody. And I would agree that frequency changes probably doesn't play into that.
Thank you.
So is it that you've already talked about Red Wing there? Is that you you assign the frequency and ask the FAA to approve it, or or would they assign a frequency to us? But you've already mentioned Red Wing, so
we would apply with the FCC for a specific frequency, and then once the FCC approves it after 30 to 60 days, then they would go, or then the airport manager would submit an application to the FAA, and then the FAA would just approve it, and then it would get charted.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I have to be honest with you, I'm not sure exactly what I'm supposed to be doing at this moment here, but it says we're supposed to, we may consider a recommendation after hearing the proposal.
I would like to make a motion that we make this recommendation and proceed with the frequency chain as presented. The
Okay.
frequency change plan as presented.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor of this, this change, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and anybody opposed isn't here, so no, no, everybody's in favor, so that sounds good. Is there any other new business today? No?
Just to give a heads up,
Yes,
there's nothing definite, but there is a possibility that I will be moving this fall. Just to kind of give you some forewarning that there may be a possibility that I will have to be leaving the board because I may be moving out of state. It's very tentative and nothing's concrete yet, but I wanted to give as much notice as possible that I'm looking into doing that.
okay, well, we'll keep that in mind, and kind of hope
Mr.
you don't
Lupke,
do
if you,
it.
if that were to happen, just be in contact with the mayor's office, as she's the one who would
Certainly.
start spearhead finding your replacement if
Yep.
that were to happen.
Yep.
So thank you for the heads up.
Okay, well, if there's no other business, I think we should adjourn this meeting. And do we make,
Okay, I'll move to adjourn this meeting.
thank you.
Second?
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.